First thing that comes to mind, I would say, is like set it and forget it. A lot of people place annual buys, and that can benefit you in some ways. You can get some price discounts or added value, aka free commercials. But there are so many changes in the media landscape over the course of a year. Like, the lead anchor on a TV station leaves, that's going to affect their ratings. Yep. And if their ratings go down, your price is no longer efficient.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Ask Valor Masterminds podcast, brought to you by Advanced Services, Fuse Networks, and Warrior Injury Law. We're coming at you from the underbelly of the Creative Block Studios in Seattle, Washington. Joe, for our new listeners and viewers, can you tell everyone how we started our podcast?
Sure. So it first started out as a private Facebook group page. The purpose was to bring businesses together to communicate, ask questions, help each other out. Because we're a marketing company, we meet with a lot of businesses that have questions outside of marketing. So we thought, what a better way than to start a podcast and bring on experts in different fields on different topics so that way they can educate our audience for us.
And Joe, we've really stressed the focus for our episodes this year to be truly local, right?
Correct.
So today's topic is local brand advertising. And what better guest than to have Dan Lawrie of WatchMaker to kind of talk to us about that. Dan, can you give a quick introduction to our audience of who you are and what WatchMaker does?
Sure. Yeah, Dan Lawrie, owner of WatchMaker Marketing. We specialize in local media, as you said. Based in Seattle, Washington. We serve a variety of different categories: personal injury, construction, jewelers, automotive. So a lot of those types of businesses that you see on local TV, here on local radio, that's my background. So that's kind of our wheelhouse.
And what is it that you do as a marketing company? Like, what services do you provide?
Yeah, so I mean, you could say we're a full service advertising agency because we do a variety of things. We do, ad hoc projects, but I'd say the core of what we do on a day-to-day basis, again, is creative. First of all, right, developing television commercials, radio commercials, media buying. So again, radio, digital, television, CTV, and then I guess I would say just optimizing those campaigns as we go along. It's an ongoing process, so the work's never done.
How long have you been doing this?
I've had the business for 3.5 years, but I spent 20 years in television prior to that.
So what made you?
America.
What was the turning point that made you start your business?
COVID. Yep, I was part of the Great Resignation, I guess you could say. It's something that I always wanted to do, though, and I've worked with a lot of direct businesses in television, so I always had that direct relationship, and I always had an itch for the creative side of things, even though I was technically a sales guy. So truly, for 20 years, I wanted to open an advertising agency, and then for a variety of reasons, everything kind of just came together during COVID.
And that was the impetus to kick the door down and let's get it started, right?
Yeah, I was pissed off at the world and said, I'm out of here, I'm doing my own thing. And use that motivation to hit the ground running, and been pretty successful ever since.
Awesome. So we before we get into the topic, local brand advertising, we want to get to know you first. So first question is, what are some early lessons learned as an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So again, I started this thing in the height of a pandemic. So I was working in my basement. And so I'd say the first thing I would tell someone is that make sure you have natural light in whatever room you're working in, because that didn't last very long. I was extra depressed and sleepy. So anyway, it was what was really eye-opening for me, and I think has helped me run this business again, consistently and for 3 years solid, is that I started by doing everything myself. I mean, taxes, bookkeeping, business development, and, as IT, like
Right.
and literally
You wore all the hats.
everything.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, and so I learned how to do all those things on my own, not always doing the best of jobs, but learned by failure, which is, the best way to learn. And really just learned how to run a business like inside and out. And so now, I have hired out some of those services, but knowing how it all works and how it all works together has been priceless.
So during your entrepreneurial journey, what's been the best piece of advice that you've been given?
I mean, this actually occurred. It was prior to me starting this business, but the best piece of advice I would say was a sales coach told me to celebrate even the small wins. It was a depressing time for everyone. And if you haven't worked in sales, it's peaks and valleys. The highs are high and the lows are low. And so during those lows, it's easy to get down. It's easy to get especially down when you're working from a basement with no natural light. But so my sales coach would tell me, like, look, maybe that piece of business didn't close today, but you did this, you set an appointment, like you upsold this client. And to me, like, I'm a perfectionist, so
Right.
I'm really hard on myself. And so I was seeing those things as like kind of just, that's
Just a
business.
matter of factly, almost.
Like
Right.
tasks you
just
had
a
to
given.
complete anyways.
Yeah, so I wasn't really even considering those successes, but I started to consciously do that. And it's like a mental hack. I mean, it really helps. And you really, I think everyone should do that, because every day you're scratching and clawing, and every little thing counts.
Well, yeah, our previous life, we were like in yellow page sales a couple lives ago. So we understand, the peaks and valleys of sales and everything.
That's a tough one.
So last question, and this is our favorite one, since we're marketers. Why is marketing important?
So, I mean, I don't even think it's a question of why, right? I mean, marketing is business. You can't have a business without marketing. So, it's the 4 Ps, as I learned many years ago at Ohio State: price, product, place, and promotion. And you can't sell anything. You can't provide a service. You can't move widgets without all those things in order. So, it's just a given. But I would say, as far as my business goes and our focus on advertising, and specifically top funnel advertising, in a world of, sorry, digital guys, like in a world with this obsession with last click attribution and data, I work in that world too, and all of that is important. I mean, it's crucial, and it's always will be, probably more and more every single day. But I would say, brand advertising, like top of mind awareness, top funnel advertising is so important, because that's how you set your business apart. That's how you become a household name rather than just another phone number in the yellow book.
Right.
Do those exist anymore? I don't know. Phone number in Google search. And that's how people remember you. And ideally, when the toilet breaks, they don't search plumber near me. They call the guy with the jingle that they hear every day on the drive to radio, and it bypasses all of their competition that show up in the search next to them.
Awesome. So now we come to our first sponsored segment, our Advanced Services Pump You Up Quote of the Day. Joe, do you mind reading the quote, please?
Yeah. A year from now, you'll wish you had started today. Why does that quote resonate with you?
It's truly and honestly like what sparked me to do this. Like one day I was surfing LinkedIn, and it was just a freaking meme on LinkedIn, to be honest with you, right? Like I didn't attend, a great philosopher's seminar or anything like that. It was something that I read on LinkedIn, and it just like smacked me across the face. And like I mentioned earlier, I've always wanted to do this thing. And as I thought about it, I was like, wow, I've got a handful of clients that I've got an extremely close relationship with, a history of success, and most importantly, trust. I think I can do this. And if I don't do it now, those things may not exist a year from now. So, I mean, it was within a week. I think when I first saw that, and I have hanging up in my office now. I remind myself that's what prompted me to start guitar lessons. That's what prompts me to start working out every time I quit working out too long. But I just think it's just we all know, we've all experienced, right? It's so true.
So why the name WatchMaker Marketing? What was you have an idea. Yeah. Did you have the business name like right away? Like oh, this is it, or did it come to you?
Yeah, no, I brainstormed a bunch of names that I thought were cool. I've still got the list in my phone, and sometimes I look back and chuckle at them. But they didn't have any meaning, and so nothing really stuck. And then I started thinking about, okay, what do you want to how do you want to position yourself? What is going to be your core philosophy? And, having worked in this business for so long, one thing I've noticed in 20 years, almost 25 now, is that like local TV commercials look a lot the same as they did 25 years ago, which is generally awful. Like templated, cheap. Right. You got the customer walking into the office underneath the sign, they stop and put their hands on their hips and look up. Right. And then they walk in and they do that damn handshake. It's so cliche. And then, or they're at the car dealer and they toss them the keys. It's just, it's cliche on top of cliche on top of cliche. And first of all, that's one of the things I go through, the practices I go through when I write a commercial is like purge all cliches. So anyway, my goal was with every advertiser was to create an ad that people actually wanted to watch, that actually made people watch. Right. WatchMaker. So that one of our slogans is, we don't make watches, we make watchers. Right. And we make ads worth watching. And then if you see my website, it's a whole theme. Right. The cogs and
the movement of it all. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. What's your favorite video you've created for a business so far?
They're all like children, right? You can't just pick one. But
who's the favorite child?
I want to put the favorite one.
I'll use one from a previous life in Las Vegas, so I don't offend any of my current clients. But I had an attorney who he was a ticket attorney, which I don't know if one exists here in Seattle, but he was this guy. Like, if you got a traffic ticket, you take it to him. And he would go into the court with like a stack of tickets this high and just get them all written down to a seatbelt violation. Wow. No insurance increase, no class needed, no points on your record. And that was his guarantee. And so anyway, he had this cartoon police officer on his billboard before he started doing TV. And my pitch to him was, we're going to bring this guy to life. And I had written a script, and the ad started off with a police siren. And we'd go, woo, you just got a traffic ticket. What are you going to do now? And every time my friends, for the ad ran for like 10 years, and every time my friends would hear it on the radio, they'd be like, God damn it, Dan! I thought I was getting pulled over. So
because they're listening to it on the radio.
Yeah. So it occurred to me that like we now like owned this iconic sound in the Las Vegas market, and I still use that strategy, is to use these audio signatures in all of my ads when possible. But anyway, the reason I love that one the most is because it was listed in Ads We Love to Hate in the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
So you stuck. That worked.
I loved it. Yeah. Just as long as people are talking about you, right? They don't have to love you.
Well, let's get into some of these truths and myths a little more for our Fuse Networks, like Did You Know segment.
Millions of cyber criminals are out there on a daily basis trying to steal your information. It's not a matter of if, it's when. Small businesses account for 58% of cyber attacks annually. So help your company fight cybercrime and mitigate risk by being proactive. Call Fuse Networks, your local Seattle IT experts at 206-701-6040 for a complimentary IT network and security assessment.
You kind of touched on the first one. Ads have gotten better. This next myth, Joe, can you read that one, please?
Interactive media is the future.
Yeah. So, there are many forms of interactive media, and some of them are very effective. So that's maybe a little bit too general, but I've got this author who I am obsessed with. He's like every word that he writes, I'm like, yes. His name is Bob Hoffman, and he wrote a book called Advertising for Skeptics. And I'm going to read this because I thought it was hilarious. It said, a decade ago, paragraphs like this one from CNN Money were appearing everywhere. Quote, imagine if Joe Smith, in need of a new car, presses a button on his remote and instantly receives more information about a Ford F-150, including where he can buy one. Meanwhile, Joe's wife, Sally, watches later an ad for a Sony phone. The product on the screen is sleek and modern, and Sally wants it. She can turn her emotion into ownership, purchasing the phone with a click of a button. And then the best part, he said, yeah, imagine if ducks played bingo. So, it's the summary of it is like, we as marketers, and I think businesses are living in this fantasy land where we think the same consumers who were so quick to skip TV commercials when that technology became available are all of a sudden going to start clicking on them and engaging in them. Again, there are variations of that do work. To what extent, I don't know. I saw an interactive ad. I see it all the time on, I think, Hulu. It's from Geico, I think. And it's like, choose which ad you want to see. And it shows you 3 screenshots. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I haven't seen any of them. Like, why do I care which flow ad I want to see, right? and it just made the experience more arduous. And I don't think it works like that.
All right, I got another one for you. So this truth, your thoughts on it. Social media is crucial for brand development.
Yeah, so, I don't want to sound anti-digital here because I'm not. And in fact, I believe it's necessary to have a multimedia mix. And, I believe in one-to-many TV advertising, but I also believe you have to have one-to-one with such as, CTV or YouTube. But the one thing that I've found to be crucial, especially with local businesses, is a strong social media campaign, right? Like if you can, but it's easier said than done,
right?
And you can post ads, you can post content on your channel every day, and what I've seen is a lot of businesses realize it's not doing anything. It's a complete waste of time. Your followers aren't going up. No one's engaging, but they feel like they're accomplishing.
But it's almost like businesses have this almost false truth of because we do something, at least we're checking that social media box, or it's not the strategy part. Like you have to have something compelling because our clients, we tried social media, it didn't do anything for us. Yeah, we got up to 1,000 likes, but we didn't get more business. I mean, we did same as last year, but I don't think they're going like the mentality you have with your agency of, well, let's create something that people want to watch or follow.
Right.
Because almost we mute ourselves, just keep scrolling by unless something's interactive.
Exactly.
What's the double take moment, right?
Exactly. I mean, I have that written down right here. You have to create scroll stopping content.
Right.
Because I heard the same thing in all majors and TV. They would say TV doesn't work, and I'd be like, okay, every major brand on earth has used TV to build their business. It works, right? So the follow-up question is to social media doesn't work or TV doesn't work is like, how are you implementing that? And so to tie a bow on it, like you need to do things to grow your followers, right? Giveaways, like, tag, follow, tag, or, tag friend or whatever, because you can post again every day, but if 10 people are seeing it,
It's not doing
what's it
anything.
accomplishing?
Right.
Yeah.
And then secondly, the content that you are posting needs to be compelling. I mean, I don't care if you are a plumber and you're selling toilets. Like, yeah, that's not sexy, but you'll find a way to make people smirk, or elicit some sort of emotional response. That's going to get them to engage at least for a second, maybe even share it with a friend, and that's how you grow followers and engagement.
Right. This last one, this is the big elephant in the room, the AI truth. So
AI has arrived in local advertising, and it's leveled the playing field.
You said it's the big.
well, it's like the elephant in the room because
Yeah.
everyone's heard it. They know it exists. Not everyone knows how to use it properly.
Yeah.
We see a lot of businesses misusing it. But give us your thought on that as it relates to local brand advertising.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's afraid of it, right? Like marketers are deathly afraid of it, and it's going to replace some jobs. But what I've found is you still need someone to execute on that, right? So, for example, and why I say it levels the playing field is, these local businesses with a $5,000 ad budget could never afford. I don't know, like yesterday I saw like a crochet elephant running through a cartoon jungle, like random crazy stuff, but it looks real. And if that's what you want for your brand, you can now make it happen. Animated characters are big, with local advertising. So that's a more realistic example. Is like you can now animate your character with a well-written and a well thought out prompt,
Right.
or series of prompts. And good software for nothing. And so in that way, all things are equal, but you still, again, you need to have someone not only that knows how to execute on it, but like has a vision, understands marketing, has
Right.
experience with marketing, knows what moves the needle, knows how to make the phone ring. So agencies are still important and relevant. Same goes with content writing, which, can be done in large part with AI, but you can tell what's written by AI and what's not. And you can tell, even if it is AI content, like if it's not relevant because the person who wrote the prompt didn't understand what their prospective customers want to see or want to read, then it's not going to be effective. So again, specialists, experts in the field like you and I are still important.
So then I'm going to put you on the spot then. So if someone can go to AI and have a video created, why did they still need you?
Yeah, and that's my whole point. It's like, what is the video going to show and why? Like, why are you creating it first? Everything goes back to why. So it's like, okay, if I wanted to create this elephant, like,
Right.
why? Because it looks cool. Well, that's not going to move the needle.
Yeah.
Right? So there has to be a strategy behind it. And then it needs to be implemented. Right? So you got your animated cartoon ad. It's got a great call to action.
Right.
And you're confident it's going to, generate phone calls. Where are you going to put it in order to get in front of the right audience at the best price? And that's not an easy answer anymore. There's more mediums available than ever, and continue to grow every day. So it's just more and more complicated.
So for a local business, specifically in our market or just any local market, where they've always thought, I think I have a good idea to do like brand advertising, TV, radio, commercials, but it's intimidating. What can you tell those business owners of like realistic expectations? Are there businesses that do better with this form of advertising? Talk to us about kind of like best practices. If a business wants to get started, we had off of COVID, we're 300% over before COVID. Now we really want to get more market share.
Yeah.
We talked about it, but they don't know. Talk to those kind of business owners on how to strategize or start thinking about this process.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a loaded question, or just a complicated answer, I should say, because it depends on the category. It depends on their geographic, the primary selling area. There's so many factors that go.
Let's go with a roofing company in the Seattle area.
Okay, so all right, sure. So a roofing company in Seattle area, do they have a recognizable brand, right? So we'll sit down and we'll come together and we'll talk about the current brand that they have, because that's typically where I start, is with brand development. It's kind of the ground level. If you don't already have one that's effective, we have to have that first and foremost.
Real quick, a side question on that. Is it easier attacking a known entity or someone that hasn't done it before? Like a brand, if it's a roofing company, let's say there's no Seattle roofers that market on TV or radio. Is it easier doing that, or like the big competitor A, to kind of take them down? Like you're going against a McDonald's.
So is it easier to be in the defense position or in the attack position?
Right.
That answer can vary, but I would say, well, first of all, if you are first to market, that's easy. I mean, you always want to be first to market, but if you are able to develop something different that the big guy doesn't and carve out a niche, I mean, and that we see that every single day, right? Like the guy that invented dude wipes just disrupted the toilet paper industry.
Right.
All he took was like 0.5% of the market, which is billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it's doable, and it also depends on what position you're starting from, right? Like you have to have a significant enough budget to make a mark,
right?
To put a chink in their iron. But yeah, I mean, I would say that's just as doable to disrupt the market with a new and different approach. And honestly, like that, going back to your question, that's probably the next stage in our process, is finding your differentiator, your unique differentiator, your value proposition. If you don't have one, we'll make one up. And I've done that before.
Yeah.
Like I won't go into too long of a story or diatribe here, but I was meeting with a car dealer once, and like they didn't have it. Big. They were big and they were successful, but they wanted to do a TV campaign, and they didn't know what their value prop is. And that is tough with automotive, because they're all selling the same cars, right? And generally for the same price. So I was talking to them about an episode of Mad Men where they're trying to develop a marketing campaign for Lucky Strike cigarettes. And I'll cut to the chase. He's like, how do you make, Don Draper's like, how do you make your cigarettes? And he's like, well, we cut the tobacco and we, chop it and we da-da-da-da, and then we toast it. And he goes, stop right there. You what? He said, we toast it. He said, that's it. Ours is toasted. And the guy goes, well, everyone's toasted. And Don Draper's like, something along, I'm paraphrasing, but no one's saying that.
Yeah.
And so I literally told them that same story. I said, so why don't you say, if we don't have it, we'll get it for you, or we'll order it online right on the spot. They're like, yeah, again, everyone does that. I was like, no one in the market is saying that. And so many people think that they have to go to the dealership that has the exact car they want to get it. And if they don't have it, or if no one has it, they'll settle for something less. If I know I can go to XYZ Automotive and walk away with either that vehicle or place an order for it. Right. The one you want. Right.
Yeah.
So that's step two. And then again, like strategy, negotiation is big, right? You have to know the value of a 30-second TV commercial in order to negotiate the price, know if you're getting ripped off. Media buying is not easy, and it's, numbers centric and time consuming. And then, I guess I'm going into the like post sale, but a lot of advertisers don't realize when they buy direct is that they're buying one thing and they're not really receiving it. So we audit all of the invoices and check off every little.
Right. So that's where your experience in the industry has really helped like your clients and everything, right?
Right.
So
Right.
kind of get that positioning almost of,
Yeah.
hey, if you do this, I could leverage this or whatever.
At least-
Because I'm sure there's promotions and everything too in
Exactly.
the industry.
Seasonality. There's even there's a certain time every single month where ads are cheaper than the rest of the month. And that's part of our secret sauce. Like no one else knows that because they haven't worked on the sell side.
So I know you're not going to give your secret sauce here, but let's do it another way. So someone thinking of doing a radio TV ad campaign, what are like one or two things they should not do? So are there any like cardinal sins, pardon the Pope pun, that they shouldn't do when thinking of a campaign?
First thing that comes to mind, I would say, is like set it and forget it. A lot of people place annual buys, and that can benefit you in some ways. You can get some price discounts or added value, aka free commercials. But there's so many changes in the media landscape over the course of a year. Like, the lead anchor on a TV station leaves, that's going to affect their ratings.
Yep.
And if their ratings go down, your price is no longer efficient.
Oh,
Yeah.
like
Right.
the Q13 weather guy when he left, right? Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't use names. But,
Yeah, I won't use
I mean,
names
it
either.
happens to every
Yeah.
station, But so that's one thing. I mean, you have to be aware of changes in the market and be able to adapt to them. I like to buy, quarterly. Again, not to get into the weeds too much, but like I like the station to make the stations compete for business.
Yeah.
And because again, like if they know like they're getting your whole wad, they're not gonna be very aggressive.
Right.
Right.
And so, again, a lot of direct buyers will just go to the radio station that they like and say, I like country music. Here's $10,000. Build me a schedule. And then they leave it at that. And then again, I alluded to it earlier. Another cardinal sin is like once you place the buy, you don't audit the invoices and make sure that you're getting. I mean, you at least have to spot check it occasionally, like every couple of months. And that's like if you have ever looked at one of these invoices, it's like I say, it's like staring into the matrix. It's like just a million numbers, ones and twos, and it's a commodity. So you're getting literally thousands of this thing, TV commercials on a single order. They're going to be mistakes. I'm not calling these people, low integrity or untrustworthy or anything. It's just mistakes happen. And so you have to be aware of that and prepared for it. And then make sure you're getting what you ordered.
Is there any vertical or any industry where radio or TV does not work?
Yeah. I mean, B2B, oftentimes anything that's a niche business, right? I mean, if we're talking about, because, we use digital and digital radio and digital TVs, and which are two completely different animals. But if we're talking about broadcast, which is one to many, and it's all of Western Washington, then, first of all, if you can't serve the entire geographic area, you're preaching to millions of people that couldn't buy your product if they wanted to. So that excludes.
Yeah.
It's not as much about a vertical as it is, your size or location. And then, generally B2B, again, it's a niche audience, that they're selling to. So there's no point in targeting the masses.
Gotcha.
Last question. So talk to us about seasonality. I know we came off just a recent election, and then like football games are big events and everything. So certain events obviously cost more. Just talk to that real quick on a really simple level to our audience of, are there like times that are more impossible to break in because more people are wanting to appear there?
Yeah, you said it, political. But which is also proof that, while people claim that broadcast is dying, they're still receiving the lion's share of the buys, because it's a great way to reach as many people as possible in a short period of time. And so that's why it's also great for like event advertising. But political, it just crowds the market. Rates go up sky high. It's not as bad in Seattle because a very blue state, but I've sold in a purple state, Nevada, when Obama was up for re-election against Mitt Romney, and Harry Reid was running, and he was the speaker at the time. So they were like it was the second most high-profile race in the country. Las Vegas was receiving more ad dollars per capita than any other city. Not per capita, I'm sorry. Just more ad dollars than any other city. And they were market number 43.
Right.
It was like 4 out of 5 commercials
Were political.
were political ads. And, you know, the local businesses suffer because of that. And local, don't get me started on the account executives and the how it affects them. But that's the biggie. And then, you know, for some reason, a lot of different things, you know, it's kind of like stars aligning for better or for worse in May. May is always year in and year out the tightest month. And then I won't give away my secret sauce again, but there is a period of about 8 weeks when, as we used to say, you could drive a truck through the inventory. It's so wide open. And that's something that I usually capitalize on. I mean, you're talking like 2 for 1, 3 for 1.
So for those businesses that are interested in learning a little bit more, tell our audience how to contact you, how to find you.
My basement is located at
with lights now, right?
WatchMakerMarketing.com. And, you know, there's a form fill on there. My cell phone number's on there. Everything goes directly to me.
Awesome.
Easy to find.
Cool. Well, on behalf of our sponsors, Advanced Services, Fuse Networks, and Warrior Injury Law.
Injured? Call us at 253-WARRIOR. Warrior Injury Law. Battle tested.
My name's Galen.
Joe.
Coming at you from the underbelly of the Creative Block Studio in Seattle, Washington. Dan, thanks for joining us in studio. It was great. And thanks everyone for tuning and listening to this episode of the Ask Valor Masterminds podcast. Thanks everyone.